You are taught your whole life to defend yourself, to explain, to justify, to prove that you are not what others accuse you of being. But here is the hidden truth. The moment you defend yourself, you have already lost. When you explain, you place yourself beneath the gaze of the accuser. When you justify, you silently admit there was something worth defending. And when you fight back, you feed the fire of their words, giving them weight, giving them power. Silence, on the other hand, is terrifying. It disarms. It leaves the other unsettled, trapped in the echo of their own voice. You may think silence is weakness, but it is the opposite. It is a throne upon which only the disciplined can sit. It is the weapon Machiavelli himself would use, not by meeting words with words, but by forcing the enemy to choke on the emptiness between them. Pause here. Imagine someone attacking your character, twisting your name with sharp edges. Your impulse is to leap forward, to correct them, to shout, "That is not who I am." But what happens when you do nothing? What happens when your stillness becomes their mirror, showing them their own desperation? Their words begin to rot in the silence. Their accusations hang in the air, unanswered, until they start to collapse under their own weight. This is the secret silence creates doubt. Not in you, but in them. Neuroscience shows us that the brain cannot handle uncertainty for long. When a question has no answer, the mind begins to fill the void with shadows, with fear, with endless projections. And so your silence becomes a labyrinth from which they cannot escape. Quantum physics whispers the same truth in a different tongue. Observation changes reality. By not engaging, by not defending, you collapse their accusation into nothing. You steal its energy. You strip it of existence. And in that moment, power flips. They thought they held you captive with their words. Instead, you have turned their words into a cage they cannot leave. Machiavelli would call this the art of appearing untouchable. To remain unmoved is to become myth. And myth cannot be destroyed by mere opinion. So the next time someone demands your defense, remember this: you owe them nothing. Your silence is not absence. It is presence. It is dominance without movement. It is the crown they can never take from you. When someone strikes at you with words, what they reveal is not your weakness. It is theirs. An accusation is rarely a reflection of who you are. It is a confession of who they are afraid you might be. Think of it. Why does someone feel the need to tear you down? Why do they assemble their words like soldiers, marching toward your name? It is because something about you unsettles them. Something about your presence shakes the fragile walls of their own identity. And here is the hidden paradox. When you defend yourself, you confirm their fear. You give life to the shadow they have cast on you. But when you refuse to defend, the shadow collapses, because it has nothing to cling to. Machiavelli wrote that the wise ruler is not the one who reacts to every insult, but the one who allows insults to decay on their own. Because an insult defended is remembered. An insult ignored is forgotten. Pause here. Breathe. Reflect on the last time someone attacked your character. Perhaps it was a friend who suddenly turned cold. Perhaps it was a coworker who twisted your reputation. Perhaps it was a stranger who looked at you and projected their own pain onto your skin. Now, recall your response. Did you leap into the fire, trying to put it out with your hands? Or did you allow the fire to consume only itself, burning out in silence? In psychology, this is called projection. The accuser sees their own flaws, their own darkness, and instead of facing it, they hurl it toward you. They hope you will catch it, hold it, defend it, and in doing so, carry their burden for them. But you are not their mirror. You are not their confessional. You are the witness who stays untouched while they reveal themselves. Neuroscience again confirms this. The brain responds to silence with discomfort. When someone makes a claim and you do not answer, their own mind begins to spiral, doubting, questioning, filling the emptiness with more and more of themselves. They become trapped in their own storm, and in that moment, you become the eye of the storm. Still, calm, unshaken. This is the trick Machiavelli understood. Power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers by refusing to move. Sometimes it shines brightest in the refusal to explain. Silence does not mean submission. It means sovereignty. You have risen above their battlefield. And from that height, their arrows cannot reach you. If this resonates, Share it in the comments. It helps this message reach more seekers. You live in a world that worships reaction. Every insult, every comment, every glance demands a reply. Social media feeds on this cycle. Accusation, defense, escalation. It is a machine that devours your peace. But Machiavelli understood something few dare to practice. Power belongs to the one who does not enter the game. When you refuse to defend yourself, you are not being passive. You are practicing alchemy. You are transmuting the lead of their words into the gold of your silence. Pause here. Imagine yourself in a crowded room. Someone throws their words at you, sharp biting, designed to wound. The crowd turns, waiting for your reaction. The air grows tense. They expect fire. They expect you to burn. But you give them nothing. Your eyes remain steady. Your body unmoved. The silence expands like an ocean. And suddenly, the crowd begins to feel uneasy. Not because of what was said, but because of what you did not say. Your silence becomes heavier than their insult. It fills the room. It rewrites the scene. Neuroscience explains this phenomenon. The human brain cannot endure unresolved tension. When you do not resolve the insult by defending yourself, everyone present begins to reframe it. The energy shifts. The attacker begins to look insecure. The silent one begins to look powerful. Quantum physics offers the same metaphor. Reality collapses into the option most observed. If you give attention to the insult, it becomes real. If you deny it your focus, it fades into unreality. Silence is not emptiness. It is refusal to collapse into their reality. Machiavelli would say, the one who refuses to defend has already won, because the battlefield only exists if you step onto it. Now breathe. Feel the stillness in your chest. Notice how power grows in silence, like roots spreading beneath the earth. Unseen, but unshakable. This is your secret weapon. To be still when others thrash, to be calm when others rage. Never defending yourself is not cowardice. It is discipline. It is sovereignty over your own energy. It is the refusal to give your crown away for free. Every confrontation is a stage. Every word spoken against you is a performance. And in this theater, most people rush to play their role, the defendant. But what if you refuse to take the stage? What if you let them act alone? The accuser craves an audience. They want your reaction, your protest, your outrage. They want the crowd to see a duel, a clash of words, a battle of reputations. Without your defense, there is no duel. There is only a lone actor, sweating under the lights, performing to silence. Pause and reflect. Can you see it? Their voice grows louder, sharper, more desperate, because silence is unbearable. And the more desperate they appear, the more the audience begins to shift. Their performance reveals itself for what it is, insecurity disguised as confidence. Machiavelli wrote that appearances are stronger than truth. If you defend, even when innocent, you appear guilty. If you remain silent, even when accused, you appear powerful. For perception is the true currency of power. This is not about fairness. This is about mastery. The world does not reward the one who is right. It rewards the one who looks untouchable. Neuroscience mirrors this ancient truth. Studies show that confidence is contagious, not in words but in presence. The silent one, the calm one, projects certainty, while the defensive one projects doubt. Your stillness becomes the anchor in the storm of perception. Quantum physics offers another metaphor. Energy flows where attention goes. The accuser hurls energy at you, hoping you will catch it, juggle it, respond to it. But when you refuse, the energy boomerangs back to them. They drown in their own projection. This is the trick of power, not to fight, but to let others exhaust themselves in theater, while you remain the silent director who never steps onto the stage. Pause again. Feel this truth in your body. Notice the tension in your chest, and imagine letting it dissolve. You do not need to prove. You do not need to explain. You do not need to step into their play. Your silence is the script they cannot rewrite. Your calm is the ending they cannot control. And the longer you refuse to act, the more the spotlight burns them, not you. Never defending yourself is not absence. It is dominance by invisibility. The world begins to whisper. If they do not respond, perhaps they are beyond response. Perhaps they are untouchable. And in that whisper, you ascend. There is a reason silence feels so heavy. It is not emptiness. It is presence. It carries the weight of everything unspoken, everything unresolved. When you defend yourself, you dissolve that weight. You release the tension, and the accuser breathes easy, because you played your role. But when you remain silent, you leave the weight where it belongs on their shoulders. Pause here. Imagine two people standing across from each other. One shouts, hurls accusations like stones. The other does nothing, does not flinch, does not break. The silence thickens between them, pressing against the walls of the room. Soon, it is the shouting one who feels trapped, while the silent one appears infinite. This is the secret Machiavelli understood: silence forces others to confront themselves. And most people cannot bear their own reflection. Neuroscience explains this through the discomfort of cognitive dissonance. When words are thrown and no answer comes, the brain begins to twist inward, scrambling to resolve the contradiction. The accuser wonders, why are they not defending? Do they not care? Or do they know something I do not? The silence becomes a mirror, and in it, they see their own weakness. Quantum physics offers yet another metaphor. In every moment, countless realities exist. The insult is only one possible reality. Your defense would lock it into place. But your silence leaves it floating, unstable, until it fades into nothing. You collapse reality not by reacting, but by refusing. Machiavelli would tell you words decay when they are not answered. An accusation defended can echo for years. An accusation ignored dies in days. Pause again. Feel the truth of this in your own life. Think of the arguments you regret, the times you defended yourself, only to realize your defense gave life to the very thing you wished to kill. And now, imagine what might have happened had you stayed silent. The storm would have passed, and you would have remained untouched. Never defending yourself is not retreat. It is not weakness. It is the highest form of presence. You say nothing, yet your silence speaks louder than any defense. It says, I am not moved. I am not yours to control. I remain sovereign over myself. And in that moment, the weight of silence shifts. It no longer belongs to you. It belongs to them. They carry it, while you walk away lighter than air. Every attack carries within it the seed of its own destruction. Words like fire consume what fuels them. If you pour oil, your defense, your explanation, your anger, the fire grows. But if you offer nothing, the fire begins to eat itself, starving in silence. Machiavelli knew this truth well. The clever do not extinguish flames by fanning them. They let the flames devour their own strength. Pause here. Picture a torch flaring in the darkness. The hand that holds it shakes, demanding you respond. But you do nothing. You remain still. And slowly, the torch burns down, the fire licking closer and closer to the hand that grips it. Their weapon becomes their wound. Psychology confirms what the ancients always knew. Aggression unanswered does not expand. It collapses. The attacker begins to question their own motives. They feel exposed, embarrassed, alone in their violence. And here is the strange alchemy of silence. It transforms you into the higher ground, even if you never moved. The one who speaks looks small. The one who answers nothing becomes vast. Quantum physics offers its metaphor again: energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be redirected. When you do not absorb the energy of the insult, it ricochets back to its source. They feel the sting of their own words, while you remain untouched. Pause again. Remember a moment when someone tried to provoke you. Think of the rage they wanted from you, the reaction they craved. And think of the times you gave it to them. What did you feel afterward? Drained, diminished, trapped in their fire. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine letting their words fall to the ground like sparks against stone. No flame, no smoke, only silence. You walk away whole, while they stand surrounded by ashes of their own making. Machiavelli's brilliance was this: he understood that to appear untouched is greater than to appear victorious. Victory invites new battles, but untouchability ends them before they begin. Never defending yourself makes you untouchable. You do not fight the fire. You let it burn itself into nothing. Power is not always worn openly. Sometimes it is invisible, resting like a shadow upon the one who dares not defend. When you refuse to justify yourself, something strange happens. The world begins to fill the silence with its own imagination. And imagination is more powerful than explanation. Pause here. Think of the great figures of history, the ones who rarely defended themselves. They became myth. Their silence gave birth to legend, because people could not bear the void. They filled it with awe, with fear, with mystery. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. But he also knew that silence creates both. It inspires fear in your enemies and curiosity in your allies. They ask what truth lies behind the stillness. What power hides in the refusal to speak? Neuroscience explains this too. The human brain is addicted to completion, to fill the gap, to resolve the story. When you leave silence, the brain spins its own tale. And more often than not, it writes a story that elevates you far beyond the truth. Quantum physics whispers the same. The observer creates reality. By not collapsing into their accusation, you allow infinite possibilities to hover around you. In that infinity, you become larger than life, untouchable, crowned by shadows no one else can see. Pause again. Close your eyes. Feel what it means to wear this crown. It does not glitter in the sun. It glows in the dark, in the unseen. It is the crown of the one who commands without speaking, who rules without needing to prove. Machiavelli would call this the art of becoming untouchable myth. For when you defend, you remain human. When you refuse, you begin to look like more than human. You become the echo that cannot be silenced, the figure in the mist that cannot be named, the power that cannot be pinned down. Never defending yourself is not just strategy, it is transformation. It is how you step beyond the ordinary, into the realm of myth, into the space where your silence is heavier than all their words combined. At the end of all battles, when the words are spoken and the fires burn low, what remains? Silence. Always silence. You see, defense is noise. Attack is noise. But true power is the ability to stand in nothingness and remain whole. Pause here. Imagine the world hurling stones at you, accusations, whispers, lies. Now imagine yourself unmoved. The stones dissolve before they reach you. The whispers fade into dust. The lies never take root. You do not fight. You do not explain. You do not bow. You simply remain. Machiavelli understood that sovereignty is not about winning arguments. It is about transcending them. The one who defends becomes entangled. The one who attacks becomes exposed. But the one who does neither becomes eternal. Neuroscience calls this emotional regulation, the mastery of your inner storms. It is the ability to remain still while the world trembles. And in that stillness, your presence becomes magnetic. People feel it. They sense a gravity they cannot name. Quantum physics offers its final metaphor. The void is not empty. It is potential. The silence you carry is not absence. It is infinite possibility. By not defending, you keep all realities open. You remain beyond capture. Pause again. Breathe. Let this truth settle into you. You owe no one your defense. You owe no one your explanation. Your power is not in their approval. It is in your refusal to be defined by them at all. Never defend yourself. Because the moment you do, you give them your crown. The crown belongs to the one who stands silent, steady, unbroken, the one who lets words dissolve into nothing, the one who wears the invisible weight of presence, and so you walk away untouched, not victorious, something greater, untouchable, eternal.